2 videos ago, I told you to take vitamin D. Last time I told you it won't work without magnesium, and I left you with one promise, that there's a third piece, and it's the one almost nobody is told about. Here it is. The vitamin D you're taking pulls more calcium into your body. That's the whole point of it. But vitamin D does not decide where that calcium goes. It can land in your bones where you want it, or it can settle into the walls of your arteries where it hardens them. And the vitamin that makes that decision is the one you've probably never been told to take alongside the other two. That vitamin is K2, not K1, the one in your salad that helps your blood clot. K2, its quieter cousin, the one that acts like a traffic controller for calcium. And here's why this matters so much right now. Over the last few years, take vitamin D became advice everyone heard. Good advice, but it sent a wave of older adults, including a lot of Canadians through our long winters, taking more vitamin D than ever, pulling in more calcium than ever, with nothing telling that calcium where to go. So today, what vitamin D actually does to your calcium, how that calcium ends up hardening your arteries, exactly what K2 does about it, which form to buy and which is a waste, the one group who must not take it, and the foods that carry it. Stay with me. The safety part near the end is the most important thing I'll say. Let's start with what vitamin D is doing. Vitamin D's main job is to raise the calcium in your blood. It does that by helping your gut absorb far more calcium from your food and your supplements than it otherwise would. That's exactly why we take it. Calcium is good. Strong bones need it. But picture what that means. You are now carrying more calcium in your bloodstream, looking for somewhere to go. Vitamin D opened the door and let it in. It does not walk it to the right room. And calcium that doesn't get a proper address is a problem because it will settle somewhere. The place we worry about is the walls of your arteries. When calcium deposits build up in those walls, the arteries get stiffer and narrower. Doctors call it calcification, and it's a real measurable part of heart disease as we age. So you can do everything you were told. Take your D, get your calcium up, and quietly be sending some of that calcium into exactly the place you least want it. Not because the advice was wrong, because it was only 2/3 of the story. This is where vitamin K2 earns its place. K2 switches on 2 proteins in your body that handle calcium, and they work like a pair of hands. The first protein pulls calcium out of your blood vessels and soft tissue and locks it into your bones and teeth, where it belongs. The second protein stands guard inside your artery walls and actively keeps calcium from depositing there in the first place. Here's the catch. Both of those proteins are useless until K2 activates them. Without enough K2, they sit there switched off, and your calcium is left to wander. With K2, you've got a system pulling calcium toward bone and away from arteries. That is the whole reason this vitamin belongs next to your D. You remember Eleanor. She'd done it all right. The vitamin D after last winter, the magnesium glycinate in the evening, the seeds and greens. She felt better than she had in years. But at her next checkup, her doctor mentioned, almost in passing, that a scan had shown a little calcium starting to build in one of her arteries. Nothing urgent, but it made her ask the question I want you asking. If I'm taking more calcium in, what's making sure it goes to my bones and not my arteries? Nobody had ever mentioned the answer to her. The answer was the vitamin she wasn't taking. And this isn't a hunch. A large, long-running Dutch study followed thousands of older adults for years and found that the ones eating the most vitamin K2 had noticeably less hardening in their arteries and a lower rate of heart disease than those eating the least. More K2 in the diet tracked with cleaner, softer arteries later in life. It's one of several studies pointing the same direction. K2 is part of how your body keeps calcium, where it helps you, and out of where it hurts you. Now, if you go to buy K2, you'll hit a wall of confusing labels, so let me make it simple. Vitamin K2 comes in 2 forms you'll see on bottles, MK4 and MK7. The difference that matters to you is how long it stays working in your body. MK4 is gone within hours, so it would need several doses a day to keep up. Not practical. MK7 stays active for days from a single dose, which makes it the sensible choice for one calm pill a day. So for most people, the form you want is MK7. If a label just says vitamin K2, turn it over and look for those letters, MK7. What about the amount and pairing it with your D? A common, sensible daily amount of MK7 is somewhere in the range of 90 to 120 micrograms. Micrograms, a tiny dose. You'll often see D3 and K2 sold together in one capsule, and that's genuinely convenient because they're meant to be taken together. A rough rule people use is roughly 100 micrograms of K2 for every couple thousand units of vitamin D, but don't get lost in the math. The real point is simpler. If you're taking vitamin D, you should be getting K2 alongside it. And because both are fat-based, take them with a meal that has a little fat. They absorb far better that way. Now, the most important thing I will say in this entire video, so please don't skip it. If you take a blood thinner, warfarin, the one many people know as Coumadin, you must not start a vitamin K2 supplement without talking to your doctor first. Here's why, in plain terms. That medication works by blocking vitamin K to keep your blood from clotting too easily. Vitamin K2 is a vitamin K, so adding it can push against your medication and throw off the careful balance your doctor has set. And that's dangerous. This is not a probably fine. This is a stop and ask. If that's you, write down one question for your next appointment. I take a blood thinner. Is any vitamin K2 safe for me? Let them answer it. Quick favor while we're here. Tell me in the comments, when your doctor or pharmacist put you on vitamin D, did anyone ever mention K2? Yes or no? And which province you're in? I genuinely want to know how often this gets left out for Canadians our age, and your answer helps other people find this. If a supplement isn't for you, say you're on that blood thinner, or you'd just rather get it from food, here's where K2 actually lives. The single richest source is a fermented soybean dish called natto, which is wonderful for this, but let's be honest, hard to find and an acquired taste in most Canadian kitchens. The easier everyday sources are aged, hard cheeses, think a good Gouda or Edam, along with egg yolks, butter from grass-fed cows, and the darker meat of chicken. None of these are huge amounts, which is part of why so many of us run low. But they're real, and they count. So let's put the whole story together, because this is the piece that finishes it. Vitamin D opens the door and brings calcium in. Magnesium switches the vitamin D on so it can do that job at all, and vitamin K2 takes that calcium and walks it to your bones and away from your arteries. 3 players, 1 team. Take the D alone and you're pulling calcium in with no one directing it. Add magnesium and the D finally works. Add K2 and the calcium finally goes where it helps you. That's the trio. That's the part almost nobody hands you all 3 of. I've put a well-tested K2 as MK7 and a combined D3 plus K2 option down in the description to save you the label reading. Any reputable MK7 will do the same job. And please hear this the way I mean it. Everything here is general information, not medical advice. Your heart, your medications, and especially any blood thinner are a conversation for you and your doctor. But now you know the question to walk in with, and that's the whole point. If this finally connected the pieces for you, subscribe, because this is how I'm going to keep doing this. The things people our age are quietly never told, explained straight, with the Canadian numbers and the safety part left in. You've now got the full trio. Vitamin D, magnesium, and K2 working the way they're actually meant to. Take care of your bones and your arteries both. I'll see you in the next one.